drag queen story hour, gay pride celebration, or a furry convention. It was actually the Libertarian National Convention, which took place in Washington, D.C. this past weekend. The theme? Become ungovernable. And they sure demonstrated that at Trump's speech on Saturday night. But there's more to the Libertarian Convention than Trump. The mainstream media failed to report on all its weirdness. It's Misfit Island on steroids. When I arrived at the Washington Hilton, fun fact, the same hotel that President Reagan was shot at, I was greeted with some authentically libertarian-esque quirkiness, a ukulele player. Members of this party will gladly tell you that they suffer from liberty autism, and that was on full display in the exhibit hall. There was the wrestling belt with Ron Paul and Jordan Peterson on it. There was the outlandish swag, like buttons that say, "Let's buy machine guns from vending machines," and "buy unapproved meds from vending machines." Then there were shirts from the Kennedy campaign that said, "Trump Fauci 2024, give us another shot." And finally, let's not overlook the scheme to dismantle the Electoral College, Stop 270. It was also full of celebutarians. King of the Libertarian dorks was Dave Smith. There was also the party's chief nerd, Scott Horton, and our country's only decent and not brain-dead representative, Thomas Massie. Although I scored a selfie with him, after waiting for RFK forever, I looked worse for wear, and that doesn't need to be seen. But I did ask Massie if he thought we would ever end the Fed in my lifetime. He said, quote, "I think it will fail on itself." What a gangsta. Everywhere you went, you could see Gabriel Shipton, the brother of the party's favorite martyr, Julian Assange. Anti-vax prophet Del Bigtree was there, along with RFK Jr.'s campaign manager and daughter-in-law, Amaryllis Kennedy. You could even spot LNC chair Angela McCradle strolling through with her kids. Side note, do you think Laura Trump would ever walk through the RNC with the normies? I doubt it. I even spotted funny man and professional troll Ben Palmer at the convention. Then there's the party's unofficial mascot and rabble-rouser, Starchild. He was Princess Leia one day and a lion the other. Starchild is a self-described erotic service provider, libertarian activist, transhumanist, and mostly earthling. He claims to be in a non-consensual relationship with the government. But why was he dressed as a lion? Well, I'll let him tell you.
But the lion is a nod to our wonderful success that we're having in Argentina with the world's first elected libertarian head of state, Javier Milei, and he has talked about people being lions and not lambs. So that's why the lion and the afuera.
Now, while Starchild is pretty wild, I managed to catch a glimpse of the event's strangest creature, Tim Pool. Mr. Beanie Boy himself popped his head out for a few minutes as we were going through security to see Trump. He thought he was quite a stud talking with security and standing there like a big old tough guy. But I'm not buying it. I know what you'd look like without that beanie on. Even the non-celebrities were noteworthy. There was the Donald Trump impersonator, the random guy running around in a kilt, the RFK-loving dog, and we can't forget the Dave Smith groupies. But it wouldn't be at a libertarian convention if it wasn't for your token misogynist. I met one guy who bragged to me about not needing the prostitute circling the convention because, quote, "I brought my wife and that's what she's for." That might be why men outnumber women 2-1. Just saying, we don't like to be thought of as prostitutes. But I can't talk about this convention without talking about all the haters. The anti-Kennedy crowd stayed mostly outside with their trucks, and the anti-Trump supporters took over on the inside. Every time you turned around, you saw someone going off about their hate for Big Scary Orange Man. Tensions were high, and those people took it out on everyone. They were rude, bossy, verbally abusive, and as you read in the news, did nothing but heckle and boo while Trump was speaking. They looked like tacky, immature, self-centered imps. You could spot the real libertarians a mile away. They were the ones staying to themselves, not bothering anybody, embodying the non-aggression principle, not hawking or grifting, not doing anything, but enjoying their liberty autism. Moral of the story? Anti-Trumpers of all political affiliations are What was really unique about this year's festivities was all the whoring that was going on.
When did this become a whorehouse?
Yes, the political system has categorically rejected libertarians. The GOP ignores libertarians like they're the redheaded stepchild. But this past weekend, they were soliciting more than a $2 whore. Vivek claimed to have been a libertarian rapper in college. Mike Lee boasted of having a libertarian relative and even gave us a cringy impression of Trump.
You know, Mike, when the rest of us were 16, we were out chasing girls, doing crazy stuff. And then he gets this really pained look on his face. But then I think about you at that age. And you're not doing that, Mike. You're at home sitting at a desk and you're studying the Senate rules and the Constitution. Am I right? And I said, well, I did like girls at that age, but yes, you're not far off. I was doing that stuff too. And he goes, I knew it. And then he turned to his staff assembled and he said, and yet he has a beautiful wife. I don't know how he did it.
Democrat dropout, now independent candidate RFK Jr. tried to titillate the crowd by saying Snowden should have a memorial in D.C. And then Trump claimed his 91 criminal counts changed him and said,
well, in the last year, I've been indicted by the government on 91 different things. So if I wasn't a libertarian before, I sure as hell am a libertarian now.
It was very strange to see libertarians go from laughable to laudable, from eccentric to essential, from wasted vote to wanted vote. Now, at the main event, there were a few cheers, but mostly jeers, as the crowd was seething with antipathy for Trump. From the "In the Fed" and "Free Ross" chants to constant yelling and sign waving, it was an absolute show. The anti-Trump libertarians gave a very bad showing and represented the party poorly. I can't even imagine how many Trump supporters you turned off to your party and ideology completely for how you acted. The Libertarian Party got the most attention they've ever received, and you couldn't help but set a bad example, proving to everyone that you're exactly what they thought you were all these years, losers, delinquents, and derelicts who would rather scream about pointless things instead of actually accomplish anything. And matters were made worse by the party's complete disorganization. Talk to any libertarian. They'll straight up tell you the party is a disorganized mess. Case in point, the crowd nearly erupted into a brawl over the seating arrangements before Trump's speech. Here's what happened. Press was allowed to enter at 4 p.m. The tables at the front weren't reserved, nor were any of the seats. We all sat at the front, just like we had the previous day for the RFK Jr. speech. After press, attendees were let in. MAGA supporters were there early, and they took the next row of seats. The delegates entered, but they started demanding the front row was theirs. LNC Chair Angela McArdle told the crowd that the delegates had spent thousands of dollars to be there and that the seats were theirs, but would prefer it if the crowd could just work it out amongst themselves. The thing is, the room was already filled, and since we got there early, we had to wait all this time, but now if we moved, we would have to go all the way to the back. Before long, security came along and told us we were forced to move, but no one budged. Then they removed the tables and started adding more seats. Tensions rose and verbal brawls broke out. People were taking others' seats, stealing chairs other people had dragged over, moving people's belongings, tossing chairs across people's heads. F-bombs were released. It was real classy. For a group of people who don't believe in entitlements, that crowd sure felt entitled to the front row seats. The mere fact that the LNC was so disorganized when it came to mere seating arrangements, and then the fact that they couldn't stop the chaos is enough to tell me I don't want them anywhere near the White House. If Secret Service wasn't present, waiting for Trump to come out, I guarantee that place would have transformed into a WWE fight. The anti-Trump libertarians were rude, loud, and nasty. One man even yelled out that Trump should have taken a bullet. The Kennedy campaign had passed out rubber squeaking chickens. Hearing those things all night was annoying. People kept saying that they should throw them, but then again, they recoiled when I think they realized Secret Service probably would not like that. All in all, the convention was fun, but it was very hostile and low-key stressful. If you weren't clinging onto your seat and trying to avoid a fight, someone was yelling at you for no reason. By the time Trump finally arrived on stage, the press had been waiting in their seats for nearly 5 hours. The whole weekend was a hurry up and wait, and unless you wanted to spend an extra $125 to see speakers during the day, you had nothing to do but watch delegates bicker in the ballroom until the main event, the keynote speaker, came out. Would I go again? Sure, because I'm drawn to chaos and controversy like a moth to a flame.